We continue our coverage today of the war with Iran as Donald Trump issues a stark warning to some of America's allies, demanding they help secure a critical shipping lane as his war against Iran continues to rattle the world economy. The American president has warned NATO that the military alliance faces what he called a very bad future if its members fail to help open the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the international airport in Dubai has resumed limited operations after an Iranian drone struck nearby. Saudi Arabia says it's intercepted more than 60 drones as Iran continues to target Gulf countries. Israel says its army has begun what it calls targeted ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. The IDF has also announced in the last few minutes a wide-scale wave of strikes on Tehran and other Iranian cities, including Shiraz. Well, Japan has become the first G7 country to start releasing oil reserves to ease the pressure on fuel prices. Well, let's start our coverage now with this report from Lauren Moss.
More than 2 weeks into this war, still no sign of when it'll end. The questions continue about how long it'll last and its impact. On a flight back to Washington in the early hours, President Trump says the US has now asked other countries for help reopening the vital shipping lane in which about a fifth of the world's oil passes.
We're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. And many Americans got a notion that between us doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open, and by comparison.
Sir Keir Starmer had a call with the US President last night about the Strait of Hormuz to end what Downing Street has described as the disruption to global shipping. A number of ships are reported to have been attacked since the conflict began, and there are concerns that Iran has placed mines in the depths of the water. The narrow strait has been effectively closed for more than a fortnight. Meanwhile, this weekend, the bombardment across the Middle East continued. Flames engulfed the main research centre of Iran's space agency. Buildings became shells. In Israel, the night skies once again were lit up with rockets fired on them, and shrapnel fell from above. Yesterday, President Trump said Iran wanted to negotiate, something the regime has dismissed.
It's not a war of survival. We are stable and strong enough. We are only defending our people from this act of aggression, and we don't see any reason why we should talk with Americans, because we were talking with them when they decided to attack us, and that was for the second time.
This morning, flights at Dubai Airport have been temporarily suspended after a fire caused by a drone attack. No one is believed to have been injured. The UK government has announced £5 million in emergency funding for humanitarian relief in Lebanon. The health ministry there says 850 people have been killed since the 2nd of March and thousands displaced from their homes. There's no let-up yet in sight for the lives of so many caught in the crossfire of this war. Lauren Moss, BBC News.
Well, a drone strike has sparked a major fire near Dubai International Airport, forcing a temporary suspension of flights at one of the world's busiest aviation hubs. Our correspondent Azadeh Mashiri has more now from Dubai.
The fire has been contained and no injuries have been reported so far, but some airlines like Emirates have said that their flights have been cancelled altogether today, though there is a gradual resumption for some other flights. But this is only a day after the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Iran was not targeting any civilian or residential infrastructure, and yet today the UAE has had to respond to this drone-related incident at its international airport. A missile fell on top of a car, killing a civilian of Palestinian origin. And there's been another fire that's broken out at a major oil terminal in Fujairah. Again, they've said that they've contained that fire and that there have been no injuries. But this will infuriate leaders here who feel they've been pulled into this war unjustly, and that there's no let-up in the amount of effort they have to do to keep protecting this image of safety and stability in a volatile region. So the last we've heard from the Ministry of Defence is that they are responding to these missiles missile and drone threats from Iran. And there certainly isn't any let-up for the region here.
Well, Israel has said that it's begun limited and targeted land operations against the Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Our Middle East correspondent Yolan Nell gave us this update from Jerusalem.
Well, the Israeli military announced this morning that it had already begun this expansion of its ground operations there, saying that it is targeting key Hezbollah strongholds in the south of Lebanon. There are 3 divisions that are already operating in the south of the country for the Israeli military. That would seem to be thousands of troops. We don't have any confirmation of exact numbers, and they're saying that 2 more divisions are going to be joining this operation in the coming days. Now, the Israeli military is calling this a defensive maneuver, saying that it's to protect Israeli civilians living in the north of the country. But of course, for the Lebanese, this is another blow to their sovereignty. It's a very worrying development.
And we're hearing also news of Israeli strikes having had an impact and having destroyed the aeroplane in Tehran used by the former supreme leader. Yolan, what more are you hearing about what the Israelis are saying about this particular strike in Iran?
Well, they're saying that they targeted this aircraft used by the late supreme leader because they say other top Iranian officials would also use it. It was used, they say, as well by military officials, particularly on visits to allied countries and including visits which weapons were procured. So that's the reason the Israelis are giving for targeting it. In general, they're saying that they are continuing to go after missile launches, and there's one Israeli report saying that 70% of these across Iran have now been destroyed or put beyond use.